I was standing in courtroom 3B at 10:17 a.m. when my sister said it clearly enough for the judge to pause mid-sentence. The room carried sound differently, amplified by wood paneling and controlled silence. "He manipulated everything," she said, pointing directly at me. "He destroyed my marriage." I didn't respond immediately because I was tracking something more relevant than her tone. The court clerk had just logged Exhibit C into the record at 10:18:42. That timestamp mattered more than her accusation. "I am Rahid Islam, 31 years old, licensed financial forensic analyst and systems auditor. I reconstruct transactional behavior across accounts, contracts, and undocumented financial flows. In simple terms, I follow money until it stops lying." My sister avoided looking at me after speaking. That detail was consistent with her previous statements. Direct accusation, then visual withdrawal. It reduced immediate challenge. The judge adjusted his glasses and looked toward me. "Do you wish to respond?" he asked. I opened my tablet instead. Case file indexed, 17 folders, 328 documents, all time-stamped, cross-referenced and verified. I didn't rush because speed introduces error. "My response is already submitted," I said. My voice stayed level, controlled, measurable. My mother shifted in her seat behind my sister. She had funded the legal filing. I confirmed that through a $12,600 transfer on January 14 at 09:12 a.m. that detail was not mentioned in court. Yet. My sister's claim was structured around emotional damage, but the filing contained no financial reconciliation. That omission mattered, because every relationship leaves a financial trace. I scrolled to folder 9. Joint account activity. 94 transactions over 11 months. 71 originated from my accounts. 23 from her husband's, none from her. That imbalance was not an opinion. It was a record. I looked at the courtroom clock. 10:20 a.m. Then I looked at you. If someone blamed you publicly for a collapse they engineered privately, would you defend yourself emotionally or prove it structurally? Because I wasn't here to argue. I was here to audit. I selected Exhibit H labeled Undisclosed Transfers. Total value $95,004, $27, all routed through secondary accounts she never declared. The judge hadn't opened that file yet, but he would. And when he did, the system would correct itself. I was not introduced into this situation as a variable. I was inserted as a function. The difference is important because functions are expected to produce output consistently, regardless of internal cost. At 26, I began handling financial reconciliation for my family, not formally, not documented. Just small corrections that became routine. I was already working in forensic auditing, which meant I could trace discrepancies quickly. In simple terms, I could see where money was going before anyone asked questions. My sister noticed that first. She learned that I didn't challenge inconsistencies immediately. I verified them silently. That delay gave her time to construct explanations before I presented data. The first case I logged involved $2,140, $33. She said it was for household repairs. I checked vendor records. No matching invoice existed. That was the first anomaly. I didn't confront her then. I documented it. Over the next 8 months, the pattern scaled with precision. Transfers increased in both frequency and value. $480 became $1,260, then $3,900 under the label Urgent Restructuring. No supporting documentation. No repayment schedule. Her husband started asking questions at that stage. I confirmed this through message logs dated June 3 at 11:14 p.m. He requested account visibility. She denied access within 9 minutes. That response time mattered. It indicated premeditated restriction. My mother entered the pattern differently. She reinforced my sister's claims through emotional framing. She would reference stress, instability, and social perception. That created pressure to resolve issues quickly without full verification. I recognized the structure late but completely. 3 roles. My sister initiated extraction. My mother validated urgency. I executed correction. My brother remained outside the system. He benefited indirectly but never interacted with the flow. That absence was strategic. It preserved deniability. By the time I ran a full audit at 29, the numbers were exact. Total undocumented transfers linked to my sister, $95,004, $27, no tax declaration, no repayment, no recorded liabilities. That figure did not include indirect support, rent coverage, legal consultation fees, credit stabilization. Those added another $18,720, $11, but those were not the issue. The issue was attribution. Because when her marriage collapsed, she needed a variable to assign fault, and I was the only one with records. So she removed context and replaced it with accusation. He controlled everything, she said. That statement was technically incorrect. I didn't control anything, I documented it. And documentation, when ignored long enough, becomes evidence. They never asked what I actually had access to. That omission was not accidental. It was convenient, because understanding my role would have required accountability, and accountability disrupts extraction systems. My work operates across layered financial environments: primary accounts, shadow accounts, vendor channels, and contractual pipelines. Each layer leaves a trace. In simple terms, money always leaves fingerprints, even when people believe it disappears. I had full visibility across 3 of those layers in her case: joint banking access, vendor reconciliation records, and external transfer logs tied to tax identifiers. That level of access is not unusual in my field. It is required to reconstruct financial behavior accurately. I maintain structured audit frameworks. Each case is segmented into indexed folders, cross-referenced by timestamp, account origin, and declared purpose. In simple terms, I build systems that allow me to replay financial history without distortion. Her file contained 328 documents, 17 folders, every transaction mapped against a declared explanation. Most explanations failed basic verification checks within seconds. I flagged anomalies using variance thresholds. If a transaction deviated by more than 12% from its stated purpose, it required escalation. That rule exists to prevent misclassification. It also exposed most of her activity immediately. For example, a $4,820 transfer labeled renovation routed through an account linked to a travel agency. No construction vendor involved. That mismatch exceeded variance tolerance by 87%. That was not a mistake. That was design. I also tracked latency patterns. Time between request and transfer. Average response time, 27 seconds. That speed created dependency. It also eliminated friction. Friction is resistance in a system. Without it, extraction becomes efficient. She relied on that efficiency. My mother reinforced it by introducing urgency variables. Phrases like immediate need and time-sensitive appeared in 78% of requests. That pattern was not emotional, it was operational. I documented all of it, quietly, consistently, without confrontation. Because confrontation changes behavior, documentation captures it. By the time the system reached peak load, I had already built a parallel structure. A private ledger, separate from active accounts. Immutable records. Timestamped, verified, non-editable. Total undocumented flow, $95,004. $27. That number was not estimated, it was precise. And precision removes argument. They assumed I was maintaining their system. In reality, I was mapping it. And once a system is fully mapped, it can be dismantled without resistance. The breaking point did not arrive during an argument or emotional escalation. It arrived as a procedural realization at 02:14 a.m. while I was reviewing transaction clusters across 3 linked accounts. I noticed a pattern compression event. That term refers to multiple high-value transfers occurring within a reduced time window. In simple terms, large amounts moving faster than normal behavior allows. 7 transactions, total value $11,320, $44, all executed within 43 minutes, all labeled as separate expenses, all routed through 2 secondary accounts. That level of activity required coordination. I didn't react emotionally. I initiated isolation. First, I removed my active participation layer. I disabled all automated transfer rules tied to her account group. There were 4 of them. Each one had been configured to bypass manual confirmation. That configuration reduced friction. It also enabled continuous extraction. All 4 were disabled in under 90 seconds. Second, I restricted access permissions. My credentials allowed temporary financial bridging through shared authorization. I revoked that authorization entirely. No alerts were triggered immediately. The system processes permission loss as absence, not error. That detail mattered. Third, I segmented historical data. I copied all transaction logs into a secured archive, encrypted, timestamp locked, no external modification possible. That ensured integrity if escalation occurred. At 02:21 a.m. I paused to verify system stability. No cascading errors, no unintended blocks, only targeted removal. That confirmed clean execution. At 07:48 a.m. the first response event occurred. A transfer request failed. Amount $780. Reason insufficient linked authorization. She called at 07:52 a.m. Something's wrong, she said, tone controlled but elevated. I updated system permissions, I replied. She paused. That pause lasted 3 seconds, long enough to indicate recalculation. You need to fix it, she said, not a request, a directive. I'm no longer participating in that system, I said. Silence followed. Longer this time. At 07:56 a.m. my mother joined the call, conference mode, coordinated response. Why are you doing this? She asked. I'm correcting structural imbalance, I said. She shifted immediately, emotional leverage. Family depends on each other, she said. That statement lacked data. I've documented all dependencies, I replied. That disrupted the pattern. At 08:02 a.m. the call ended, not resolved. Not escalated, just terminated. That told me everything. They expected resistance. They did not expect removal. By 08:17 a.m. 3 additional transfer attempts failed, all logged, all denied. The system had already shifted, not loudly, precisely, and once precision replaces assumption, control disappears. The escalation did not begin with volume. It began with coordination. At 08:23 a.m. I received 3 calls within a 6-minute window. My sister first, my mother second, my brother last. Sequence indicated alignment. I answered the 3rd call. Timing shift signal control. We need to talk, my brother said. His tone was measured, slower than usual. That indicated preparation. I'm available, I said. This isn't something you handle like a system, he said. This is family. I logged the statement. Emotional reframing attempt, no supporting structure. It is a system, I replied. It just wasn't labeled. At 08:29 a.m. my sister took over the call. Her tone was sharper now, less controlled. You're making this worse, she said. Everything is falling apart because of you. That was attribution shift. Assigning outcome to removal, not cause, I didn't interrupt. I let her complete the statement. That provides full data. Your transactions were already unstable, I said. I removed external correction. You were controlling everything, she said. I was compensating, I replied. That distinction mattered. At 08:34 a.m. my mother introduced the next layer, guilt amplification. We trusted you, she said. We depended on you. Dependence confirmed, not denied. I documented that, I said. Silence followed. 3 seconds, then escalation intensified. If you don't fix this, my sister said, I'll make sure everyone knows what you've been doing. That was threat introduction. Reputation leverage, I noted the phrasing. What you've been doing. Undefined accusation, no specifics. That would require evidence, I said. She didn't respond immediately. That indicated lack of prepared data. At 08:39 a.m. my brother attempted structural negotiation. Let's reset, he said. Temporary support just until things stabilize. He used temporary twice. That indicated awareness of dependency duration. That system is no longer active, I said. You're going to destroy everything, my sister said. I paused for accuracy. No, I said, I'm removing distortion. That was the moment escalation peaked. At 08:42 a.m. the call fragmented. Voices overlapped. My mother raised her tone. My sister repeated the same accusation. My brother attempted to regain control. I didn't engage with volume. I disengaged from noise. I will not be reinstating previous access, I said. Then I ended the call. At 08:47 a.m. I reviewed system logs. 7 failed transfer attempts, 2 external inquiries, 1 vendor contact request. They were searching for alternate entry points. There were none left. By 09:03 a.m. I received 5 messages. Different tones, same objective, restore access. I archived all of them because escalation is not resistance. It is confirmation that control has been lost. And once control is lost, systems do not negotiate, they collapse or adapt. Their system was not built to adapt. I did not respond to any incoming communication after 09:03 a.m. Silence is not absence. It is controlled delay. It forces systems to expose hidden dependencies when expected responses do not arrive. At 09:11 a.m. I initiated full case reconstruction, not for defense, for verification. Defense reacts. Verification concludes. First, I extracted all transaction logs across primary and secondary account layers. Time frame, 11 months, 6 days, 14 hours. Total entries, 1,284. Each entry mapped against declared purpose and actual routing endpoint. I applied discrepancy filters. Variance threshold set at 10%. That threshold identifies misalignment between stated intent and actual financial destination. In simple terms, it flags when money does not go where it claims. Results returned immediately. 72 transactions exceeded variance tolerance. Combined value, $64,882, $19. That was not interpretation, that was structure. Second, I isolated hidden channels. These are accounts not declared during financial disclosure. In simple terms, money pathways people assume remain invisible. 3 accounts identified, all linked through indirect identifiers. Phone number overlap, IP access consistency, device fingerprint alignment. Total routed value $95,004, $27. That number matched my private ledger. Redundancy confirmed accuracy. Third, I reconstructed behavioral timelines. Request timestamp versus transfer execution. Average delay 27 seconds. That speed indicated automated compliance behavior on my side. That was my error. I removed friction, and friction prevents exploitation. Fourth, I compiled communication logs, messages indexed against financial events. Correlation rate 93%. Most transfers followed direct request within 1 minute. That eliminated coincidence. Fifth, I structured the report. 17 folders, 328 documents, each section cross-referenced, no assumptions, no narrative bias, only verified alignment. At 09:42 a.m. I finalized the file. File size 482 megabytes, format encrypted archive with layered access control, digital signature embedded, timestamp sealed at 09:43:11. No modification possible without trace. That mattered, because once data integrity is secured, narrative manipulation fails. At 09:48 a.m. I submitted the archive to legal intake. Case reference RF 31884, documentation accepted without revision request, that indicated completeness. At 10:02 a.m. my sister sent a message. Short. Unstructured, what did you do? I did not respond because the trap was not conversational, it was procedural. Every record was now external, independent, immutable. At 10:11 a.m. a formal inquiry request was issued by opposing counsel. They had received preliminary notice of financial discrepancies. That was faster than expected, which meant the system was already reacting. I closed my tablet, not to disengage, to confirm completion. Because once documentation leaves your control and enters an audited environment, outcomes stop being negotiable. They become inevitable. The tone shifted at 4:16 p.m. That was the timestamp on my sister's message when she requested a meeting. The language was controlled, slower, and deliberately neutral. That indicated recalibration, not resolution. We should talk in person, she wrote. No pressure, just clarity. I read it twice, not for meaning, for structure, no accusation. No urgency markers, no emotional triggers. That was intentional. This was not reconciliation. This was containment. I checked system status before responding. Legal intake confirmed document review had begun at 3:52 p.m. External audit queue active. Estimated preliminary assessment window, 6 to 9 hours. That meant pressure was already building on their side. I replied at 4:19 p.m. time and location. No deviation, no tone adjustment, only logistics. She responded within 40 seconds. Al Noor Executive Lounge. 7:30 p.m. Controlled environment, semi-private seating, limited external interference. That detail mattered. They wanted isolation without full privacy. Enough distance to negotiate, not enough exposure to lose control completely. I arrived at 7:21 p.m. early, always early. I selected a table with direct visual access to the entrance and minimal ambient noise. I ordered water. No distractions, no variables. They arrived at 7:34 p.m. coordinated delay. My sister entered first. My mother followed, my brother last, sequence unchanged. They sat across from me. Formation identical to previous interactions, that indicated pre-aligned roles. My sister began, tone measured, slower cadence. "We don't need this to go further," she said. That statement implied escalation had already started. "It already has," I replied. My mother leaned forward slightly. "We can resolve this internally," she said. "No need for external involvement." That was the objective: contain the data, remove external verification, restore narrative control. I did not interrupt. I allowed full delivery. My brother entered next, structured approach. Let's reset, he said. We acknowledge miscommunication, we fix it quietly. Miscommunication, that word mattered. It reframed financial discrepancies as misunderstanding. That would require data revision, I said. Silence followed. 8 seconds. My sister adjusted posture. Less relaxed now. You're making this bigger than it is, she said. I opened my tablet, not aggressively, procedurally. Total undocumented transfers, $95,004, $27, I said. 3 undisclosed accounts, 72 variance breaches. No tone shift, just output. My mother's expression changed, minimal but visible. We didn't see it like that, she said. That does not change the structure, I replied. My brother attempted final alignment. What do you want? He asked. That was the first direct question. I want accuracy, I said. Short answer, precise. That disrupted the negotiation. Because there was nothing to offer against accuracy. My sister leaned forward again. If we settle this now, she said, we can stop everything. Stop everything. That confirmed external escalation had reached critical visibility. That is no longer within your control, I said. Silence extended longer this time. No immediate response. No overlapping voices. That indicated system recognition. The truce failed before it stabilized, because it was never designed to resolve the issue. It was designed to delay the outcome. And delay only works when data is incomplete. Their data was already complete. The hearing resumed at 10:16 a.m. the next day. Same courtroom, same positions, different variables. The judge had already reviewed preliminary audit summaries before entering the room. That detail changed everything. I stood when my name was called, not out of obligation, but to maintain procedural alignment. My tablet was open, file structure unchanged. No edits, no additions, integrity preserved. My sister avoided eye contact again. That pattern remained consistent. My mother sat behind her, posture tighter than before. My brother remained still, less confident. The judge opened Exhibit H at 10:18:03. That timestamp is recorded in the official log. He scrolled slowly. Not because of confusion, but because of volume. Mr. Islam, he said, these records indicate undisclosed financial routing across multiple accounts. Yes, I said, no expansion, no explanation, just confirmation. My sister shifted immediately. That's not what it looks like, she said. That statement lacked structure. No data, no counter records. I did not respond to her, I responded to the system. 72 transactions exceeded declared purpose variance thresholds, I said. 3 accounts were omitted from disclosure. The judge continued reviewing. Page transitions logged at 10:19:11, 10:19:47 and 10:20:22. Each page reinforced the same pattern: misalignment, attribution failure, concealed routing. My brother attempted intervention. This is being taken out of context, he said. Context is documented, I replied. That ended his attempt. Then I paused, not for effect, for alignment. Look at me for a second. If every financial decision you made was reconstructed with timestamps, cross-referenced accounts and verified endpoints, how long could a false narrative survive? Because that was the environment now. No interpretation, only structure. The judge closed the file at 10:21:34. Islam, he said, addressing my sister, these discrepancies are substantial and require explanation. She did not respond immediately. That delay was longer than previous ones. 6 seconds, that indicated system failure. No prepared response. No alternative structure. My mother leaned forward, attempting to intervene. This is a misunderstanding, she said. The judge raised his hand slightly, not dismissive, directive. I will review the full record, he said. That statement confirmed transition. From narrative to evaluation, from accusation to verification. I did not speak again. There was no need. Because once data enters a judicial system with integrity intact, outcomes are no longer influenced by volume or emotion. They are determined by alignment, and alignment had already been established. The ruling did not arrive immediately. It arrived as a sequence of procedural failures on their side, each one logged and irreversible. At 11:42 a.m. the court issued a preliminary discrepancy notice. That document required full financial disclosure within 48 hours. No extensions, no exceptions. My sister submitted partial records at 09:18 a.m. The next day, submission size 12 documents. Required minimum 47. That gap was not minor, it was structural failure. At 09:44 a.m. the court flagged the submission as incomplete. Status updated automatically. Compliance failure logged, that mattered. Because once compliance fails in a legal system, assumptions are replaced by enforcement. At 10:12 a.m., her husband's legal team submitted a counter-report. I reviewed the filing summary through public record access. Their documentation aligned with my archive within a 98% variance tolerance. That level of alignment confirmed external validation. At 10:27 a.m. the judge issued a directive for full financial audit. Independent forensic review assigned. Timeline, immediate initiation. That removed narrative control entirely. My sister attempted damage control at 11:03 a.m. She called twice. Then sent a message. "We can fix this," she wrote. No structure, no data, just reaction. I did not respond. At 12:16 p.m. my mother contacted me. Voice message, slower than before, controlled but strained. "You've taken this too far," she said. That statement lacked accuracy. I hadn't taken anything further. I had only stopped correcting it. By 01:42 p.m. the audit team requested direct access to secondary account logs. Authorization granted through court order. That meant all hidden channels would be exposed without delay. At 03:08 p.m. the first confirmed match was recorded. Undisclosed transfer linked to external account. Value $6,400. Timestamp aligned with my archive exactly. That was the collapse point, not emotional, mathematical. By 04:26 p.m. 3 additional discrepancies were confirmed. Total variance exceeded reporting threshold. Legal implications activated automatically. My brother stopped calling after that. My sister stopped messaging. My mother sent one final statement at 05:11 p.m. This isn't what we expected. That was the first accurate statement in the entire process, because systems built on assumption always fail when exposed to verification, and theirs had no redundancy, no correction layer. No escape path, only outcome. By the end of the day, the structure they relied on no longer existed, not because I destroyed it, because I stopped maintaining it. The final decision was issued at 10:06 a.m. 3 days later, not dramatic, not delayed. Just entered into record with standard procedural language. Full financial liability reassigned, misrepresentation confirmed, undisclosed assets flagged. My sister's claim collapsed completely. The ruling did not mention emotion. It did not reference intention. It only addressed alignment between records and reality. That is how systems finalize outcomes. I reviewed the judgment once, not for validation, for accuracy. Every figure matched, every discrepancy accounted for, every hidden channel exposed. Total undocumented transfers confirmed $95,004, $27, no variance. That mattered, because precision ends argument. At 11:22 a.m. I received a message from my sister. Short, no structure. You could have handled this differently. I read it once, then archived it, because that statement assumed alternative outcomes existed. They didn't, not once the system reached full exposure. At 12:14 p.m. my mother called. I let it pass. She left a voice message, slower than before. No pressure, no framing. We didn't think it would go this far, she said. That was accurate. They assumed containment. They assumed I would prioritize preservation over correction. They assumed the system would continue operating in their favor indefinitely. They were incorrect. At 02:03 p.m. I closed the case file. Archive status updated. No further action required. I returned to my workstation. Opened a new audit queue. 3 pending cases, different clients, different variables, same structure because the process does not change, only the inputs do. At 03:11 p.m. I checked the system clock. Then I looked at you. When you finally stop correcting distortions in your life, do you lose control or do you gain it for the first time? I didn't wait for an answer. I logged the next case because clarity is not emotional. It is operational, and once you learn to see systems as they are, you stop reacting to noise and start aligning with structure. No anger, no regret, just resolution.